Creating a modern world of astrology, all right? Modern world of education, leveraging astrology. And we gotta speak up. We gotta speak up. This is Kyrie Irving, Kanye West, Alex Jones. We gotta stop being afraid to say names and support people who are paving the new world. So, all right, let me backtrack. All right, so we got Kyrie Irving, who is going through losing his Nike contract deal, being considered anti-Semitic or racist or unsupportive of Jewish people. I don't even really mean to smile in the moment. It's just like, I just had this thought this morning. I'm like, I knew this kid growing up. I knew one Jewish kid in my whole life, like that I could actually say was like a friend at a point. And beyond that, it's like I've never thought about Jewish people, if I'm being honest, as a black person. It's just even as a person, it doesn't even matter. Like, I've never even heard the word anti-Semitic up until about a week ago. And now we have to start really looking at what is digital lynching. Like, truly, like, you can't necessarily. I think recently Joe Biden just put up a post or passed a law about lynching has finally become a crime in 2022. Are you kidding me? Lynching was not a federal law or crime prior to 2022. And so we may not physically be able to sit there and hang and tie somebody up to a tree. But now we are digitally doing exactly that. You think Uranus and you think Taurus, okay? Taurus is the neck. Taurus is literally the neck, okay? The revolution is always going to be Aquarian type energy. The revolution is always going to be Aquarian type energy. So Uranus and Taurus, the revolution, we're now digitally lynching people with influence, specifically people with influence. It's almost like if you don't have enough money, enough power, if your word can't persuade millions, then you're not really in the party you didn't meet the requirements to be digitally lynched, if you will. But this is getting out of control. Like, we must start seeing. We have to start looking at when we see something on a media profile, when we see something on the internet, we have to start doing our own research and dig a little bit deeper. And instead of taking the one headline of, let's say, somebody like Kyrie Irving or Kanye West, like they're anti-Semitic, it's like, are you listening? Are you listening? Or are you going to continue to walk as a sheep? And this is what's happening. Like, the world is being revealed for how many sheeps exist. I can't say that I've actually watched a documentary of the Alex Jones movie or video or whatever it is. I think it has to be questioned in the moment of since when did being anti-Semitic become such a thing? Like, overnight everybody's anti-Semitic, and it's like it's getting weird. Like, it's actually getting weird. It's like you have a basketball player here, Kyrie Irving, who claims very clearly. He speaks very clearly about his views. He's very vocal. Essentially, what's happening is we're asking all the people that entertain us. Literally, you think Roman Colosseum, okay? You take the most athletic, the most warrior-like person, and it's like, look, it's all good while we, and I say we in this instance as black people, can entertain others with the fact that we can jump high or run fast or physically do something or creatively do something that has never been seen before. Everything is cool. As long as we don't speak up and share our views of the world, as long as we don't speak up and share the truth, as long as we don't speak up and say, I'm sick of being enslaved, whether mentally, spiritually, physically, or emotionally, I'm sick of it all. If we ever say something to such an extent, to the point where you can now post a Twitter link for people to watch a movie, a documentary, so that they can educate themselves on whatever this producer's view is on. At what point does posting a link on Twitter or any platform equate? At what point does it equate to I am racist against Jewish people? It's wild. It's wild. I think Cassie said hive mind. Let me see this. The hive mind doesn't care about being informed or right. What's going on, Cassie? They just want to be liked. Virtue signaling is about their clear need for public validation and acceptance. Yeah, we have to start taking a serious approach, a very, very serious approach to beginning to actually, like, as a unit, as a community, protect people. We literally, like, I honestly don't even know what to say on this message, if I'm being honest, because I'm looking at this and it's still fresh enough where I'm like, it doesn't even matter. I have to speak about it because this is wild. We have lost our marbles. We have lost our marbles. We have lost our marbles. The only thing I feel like it's really, really required in this message, all right, is to actually say what Kyrie clearly did say, okay? And one of them is that he is a light, a beacon of light in a very dark age, okay? We live in a very dark age, all right? Like, the amount of social manipulation and digital terrorism that's happening on a regular, okay? Terrorizing people through media is buck wild, okay? The fear mongering, it's buck wild, okay? Even with something like astrology, and you know, if you got people making eclipses be something to fear monger, it's like, bro, like, they're gonna happen. Like, things are gonna close and things are going to begin. Energy might be a little bit more intense during that time, but it's nothing to be afraid of. It's just happened through our parents, generation after generation. It's always happened. Eclipses occur. It's a very natural phenomenon. There's no reason to make anybody afraid of what to do, what to expect. So look, let me backtrack. Kyrie Irving, the basketball player, NBA basketball player, clearly states over and over that I support all walks of life. And it's like, it's so wild. It's so wild. It's hard to even to formulate any type of intelligent statement in the moment about what exactly, how can you publicly force a man or any person to apologize for something publicly that they're not sorry for, because nothing was done wrong. Like, if no one did anything wrong, but then you're forcing them to apologize for something that, because you want other people to believe it's wrong. We must see the gaslight here. We must see the public and the international gaslight. We must see it as a people. We must see that we have people, public figures, public influences, public influencers, let's say a basketball player, let's say a Kanye West, let's say anybody in these categories, we want them to apologize. Have you ever been forced to apologize when you were a kid? When you're with your brother or your sister, and you know you didn't even do nothing wrong, and you were forced to apologize, how did you feel? And beyond the step of how did you feel, what is the trauma? What's the trauma that you didn't face later as an adult? What's the mindset that you now have? Oh, well, if I do right, then I'm going to get punished anyways. And that's like a successful gaslit attempt. Convincing somebody that their view, their take, their opinion is not only valid, but should be mutually respected. Because I'm different than you, and you're different than her, and she's different than him, and we should all very clearly and easily be able to, I got a wild question about this, please do ask. We should all be able to very clearly have our own opinions, our own thoughts, to share our own beliefs. So please do ask the question. This junk is just wild, yo. People have lost their freaking marbles. They've lost their marbles. I can't even. So he gets cut from Nike now. He had the sneakers coming out. And Nike is one of those very public. We've known this even from the Kanye West trials. We've known this from the Drake. All right. Do you think that it's odd that it's mainly marginalized groups that get smacked down first about this kind of thing? I'm almost skipping some vocabulary in my own mind right now about marginalized groups. I don't know who the marginalized groups are specifically, but all I have seen so far is apparently black people are racist against Jews. This is the most mind-blowing thing. Like, if I'm looking at it, like, at least from what I see, because I'm not really crazy on news, if I'm being honest. I'm not crazy about it. I feel like I have to speak up when I have to speak up, but it's like the only thing I do currently see is that black influencers are apparently the most anti-Semitic group of people, and it's mind-blowing to me. I don't actively know a Jewish person. I don't even have any thoughts about Jewish people. I feel like it's almost trying to wind up people. For instance, black people. And this has been a consistent narrative throughout our entire existence. You know, if you look at the first original film in America, it was of a white woman scared and running from a monster who was basically a black man, so black that the guy was like this, right? The guy was like this color black. So it's like most people are not even this black. So it's a wild image in the first place. All right, like, I'm not black, I'm brown. Most black people are brown, so that's a whole nother whatever annoyance, but cool. And it goes back to this original film of like a white woman terrified with the implications that she's going to be mauled or raped by a black man. And they have this black man, he's like foaming from the mouth, and his like teeth looks like fangs, and it's like, it's not even really looking like a human. It doesn't even look like a human. It was portrayed specifically to look like a monster. It's one of the first original motion pictures in the US. One of the first emotional pictures, not emotional, but maybe that's what needed to come out. First motion pictures in the US. And it's the same thing when I walk by somebody, let's say a white woman specifically, in my own hometown back in the States, and now you get the clutch purge, and now you get this, you can feel that, right? We're all empaths, all of us. So now you feel the energy and the sensitivity of like, oh my God, this woman is completely freaking terrified. Like, I wonder why. And we don't even really know. If I'm being honest, we don't know. We don't usually figure that shit out until like later in life. So it's like, my point is, behind all of that is, based off of what Cassie had just said, it's like, getting a reaction out of a black person so that we can act irrational has been a very consistent narrative in my life. Been a very consistent narrative. I have literally witnessed, in this instance, come out of my mind, police officers that I went to for help. I literally went up to a police officer. I remember asking for help. And I end up face down on the ground in handcuffs with knees in the back of my neck. And I remember thinking to myself, and I very clearly thought this, man, I could rip both of you apart. I remember thinking that very clearly. I was like, I could physically dismantle both of these officers. And that's exactly what I cannot and will not do. But I want to. I want to make you feel like an animal, how you're making me feel now with these cameras in my face. I remember that. Now, the irony of this is they literally just uncuffed me and drove off. So now I'm sitting there, ripped clothes. I had a suit and tie on. A suit and tie. It was my 24th birthday. A tie. My scarf that my grandma gave me, completely shredded. Who's paying for that exactly? Oh, sorry, that's not even part of the discussion. And getting riled up so that I do act. It's like, where do you ever get arrested and then let go in the same night? No booking, no processing, no nothing, no documentation, no nothing, no nothing, no nothing, except for public humiliation, except for my own dignity being tested, for my own. So if I think about that marginalized the marginalized comment, it has this feeling of like being tempted to do something that would then actually be illegal. Somehow, some way. Or just being pushed, being bullied. Or, current day, being digitally lynched. Like lynching people in public figures, to just show why no one else that looks like me or looks like Kyrie Irving or looks like Kanye West, to just show that anybody that looks like us, we want you to know what's going to happen before you even try. We're going to take all your money. We're going to take all your power. We're going to black mirror you. We're going to make you seem like you've always been crazy. Kyrie Irving in his interview said, you know, when I was younger, I used to always question, like, there was a phrase saying that if you want to keep black people down, hide the information in a book. And he said that, and it's not verbatim, it's something like this. And it's wild because I remember teaching in schools, in urban city schools, and the pages are ripped out of the book. So like, even though we got the book, we can't even read the information. Can't even read it. Wow, that was a pretty bird. Jesus, it had a yellow belly and like brown top. That was a very pretty bird. I guess ultimately, like, the only thing I really feel like I need to say right at this point, it's a level with Millie that doesn't go both ways. They love to spin a narrative of worries means for other safety. Yeah. I know it's odd to speak on as I'm white, but it seems wild to me to not let black people talk about it at least. I feel like it's almost trying to whine. Yeah. No, see, the reality is, it's like, you know, outside of color itself, we need everybody to talk about it. We need everybody to talk about it. And this is what's changing. This is why the pressure has amplified. Because somebody like Kyrie Irving, okay, playing for the Brooklyn Nets in the USA basketball, he has a lot of white people that he's influenced. He has a lot of Jewish people that he's influenced. He has a lot of Indians that he's influenced. He has a lot of Asians that he influenced. This is the part of the problem, that it's no longer, there's not just a simple influence. Kanye West, same thing. He has more influence than just over black people. He influences people, humanity. And this is a part of the problem. So it's like, it's not absurd for you to speak up, you know, as a white woman. And it's like, we need that more than anything else. It's like, here's a simple reality that I had to face a while ago. It's like, me as a black person, like, there are certain doors that I'm never going to be able to get into. It just does not matter. There's certain doors that without an escort I can't walk into. And the difference is, people like Kyrie Irving, people like Kanye West in this moment, this is just the two most recent, you know, digital lynchings and anti-Semitic stories that are being ran as narratives right now, it's like they have that access. They have the escorts. They can get into those doors that the thing is, like, all of this is just so wild to me because it's like 2 years ago, the whole world seemed to have cared about Black Lives Mattering. But when we do the numbers and we see something like 6 to 5 million Jewish people have died in a Holocaust X amount of years ago, and we look at currently how there's still something like 20 million black babies being killed inside the stomach of a black woman, aka Planned Parenthood, like Kanye West has said, is the new Holocaust. That nothing about that is alarming. The fact that the number one genocide for black people has been food. The number one and number three. I don't even know how you can make stats about it being number one and number three. That's just another level of like asinine. Like, what the is food in the corner stores? Like, you cannot get vegan food. You cannot get food that's not ultra processed. And so and this is the thing Kyrie Irving was saying, it's like, when I speak up about this, when I actually speak up about the oppression that's still currently happening, because last I checked, Jews are not currently being oppressed. Last I checked, there's no oppression. They're on top. In all sincerity, they're literally on top. Financially, from a communal standpoint, okay, this is literally what Kanye West is saying. He's like, if anything, he's jealous of Jews, and he wants his people to rise up in some of the same ways after adversity, in the same way that Jews have. What exactly about such a thing is anti-Semitic? I don't understand. Whatever it is, I'll form more structured and clear thoughts later, because this is super duper early. I just really had to speak up about it because this is buck wild. Again, I put no astrological placements in this. There's a bunch that are already calculating and percolating in my mind about what's happening because I've seen the dates, but on a different day we'll do that. For now, I'm gonna go back to my day. I'm gonna go back to my morning. Glad you did. It's good to get it out. Absolutely. Because, if the only thing that I really feel like was important about this is like, to energetically send support by being willing to speak up against injustices. And I feel like it should be an injustice, very clearly, to force somebody to apologize for something that was not done wrong. I feel like it's an injustice to take somebody's $1 million contracts, being Nike, dropping Kyrie Irving without any warning, heads up, updates, when he's coming out with a brand new sneaker in a month from now or less, and that's just done, and suspending his passion from him. And it's like, where are we going to start thinking and looking at, like, damn, this guy loves basketball more than anything else, and he's been in the NBA for 12 years now, and he's literally allowing himself to take these suspensions in order to essentially sit out and speak up. And he did the same thing on COVID-19, and he's doing the same thing now with his own personal beliefs, which has nothing to do with him believing anything against Jewish people. If anybody listens, nobody listens anymore. Nobody ever listens. People hate listening. They just want to follow. And that's the problem. Stop being a follower. I'll see y'all.